The What's Neat This Week video podcast is supported by enthusiastic model railroaders just like you. Additional support is provided by Athearn Trains. Check out all their new monthly announcements at athearn.com. The National Model Railroad Association, where membership has its benefits. Check out their website at nmra.org. Additional support is provided by Cowcatcher magazine, all about the community of model railroading and rail enthusiasts. Check out their website at www.cowcatchermagazine.com. Further support is provided by the NCE Corporation, the power of DCC. Visit their website at ncedcc.com. And thank you for supporting the What's Neat This Week podcast. This is the What's Neat This Week, show number 121 for July 4th, 2020. Happy 4th of July, everybody. Guys, we're out shooting fireworks tonight, Daniel. Nobody got hurt, nobody got burned.
Yeah, that's
Close.
always a good thing.
Close. But
Almost, but a little disappointed that nothing happened there.
That was nice watching you guys have fun out there. No stress before this show. We got to watch some of the neighbors' fireworks as well, and all those beautiful fireworks that they were shooting off across the river.
Yep.
Where else in the world do you get to see a horizon like that where the whole horizon is lit with fireworks? That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Guys, there's a lot of stuff that's been going on this week. Not one of which is not happening is working on the Garden Railroad. It's been raining, and the days that it hasn't rained, it's been 100 degrees outside, it felt like, with the humidity and the mosquitoes. So I've gotten nothing done with that. Thank you very much. I guess that we're not having the NMRA show next week. Or actually, it was going to come up in about, 10 more days before we would have had that show.
Yeah.
And the pressure would have been on to get everything around here running for the open house. So that pressure's off. But there's a lot of engines and a lot of different projects on the table that the guys have been working on. Obviously, this is the first time we've all gotten together, and I got my mask too, to be fair. Now that we have good sound, I can take off these headphones and wear my mask. But there's a lot of great stuff going on. Jeff Meyer is with us this evening. Hello, Jeff.
hey,
Hi, Jeff.
long time.
I got James Regier sitting right next to me here.
Hi, everybody.
I got Daniel Coombs sitting next to me here.
Greetings.
And there's just so many beautiful engines. You've got all the bicentennial colorful locomotives on the table. I know, James, you built this one, which is a little bit different, and it's not something we're used to looking at. What is that you've got here?
So what this is the 2902 right here. That's a Kato GP35 that I actually dressed up into bicentennial colors. As you know, I work at the Magic House, and that layout will not take six-axle locomotives very well. The radii and so on are such that six axles have a terrible time tracking.
Really?
So I decided that if I wanted a bicentennial unit, which I did kind of like the Santa Fe units, I couldn't go for the prototype. So I took a GP35 and rebuilt it to look as close to a facsimile of the original SD45-2 with all the paint schemes, and I tried to adjust the paint scheme so that it would look good on the shorter car body, and also put in the details such as the plow, the moved back antenna platform, and all those things that you see on the 45 there.
Nice.
Really?
Now, I know you've been working on that Trackmobile. Tell me, now I'm going to put these on so I can hear sound. Tell me about the Trackmobile project, and where are you at on that?
Well, the Trackmobile project is nearing completion. What you see right there, I do have the wheels on it. I have a speaker in it. There's still going to be 2 more wires fed up through the behind the motor there and on into the cab, which is a very narrow fitting to get all those wires in there. The decoder will wind up being on top of the cab. The 2 remaining wires will actually be for four capacitors that I will be stringing up in parallel in order to function as a keep alive, so that hopefully it won't stall out on the first frog that it meets.
That's amazing.
And that's an old Broadway Limited model,
It's a
right?
Broadway Limited model that I'm doing for James Wright.
Okay.
So, so far all of the LED functions work. It has the forward lights, reverse lights. It'll have hazard lights that you can activate with one of the functions on the decoder. And to extend that fourth function on the decoder, I've actually used an Atmel Tiny 13 chip to do double strobes that flash 2 times and are offset by about 0.005 seconds. So that's pretty neat, and there'll be an upcoming What's Neat about how you can use those Atmel Tiny chips to not only do the strobes, but you can also do a simulated Stratolite rotary beacon, and that's a working project.
I think we're going to run that video in September. I've got August just about finished. I know in August we've got a segment on installation of 8-pin, 9-pin, and 21-pin decoders in various locomotives.
Sure.
I just finished the edit on that. We discussed KD couplers a little bit, the different types, long shanks, upper shelf, lower shelf, and number 5s and number 58s. And we also talk about magnetizing screwdrivers, so there's kind of a lot of neat stuff. I can't wear my glasses with this mask on; it fogs. I can't
me
see.
neither. So
That's right. If you wear glasses and have to wear a mask, you may be entitled to condensation.
And here in our state of Missouri, actually it's not the state, the city of St. Louis and the city of county has required you to wear masks when you go out in public. And they said there could be a $1,000 fine if you don't wear it. So I'm not sure who's going to enforce that. But these are the times that we live in. Now, Daniel, talking about times, you brought over a beautiful O-scale locomotive. Are you getting into O-scale, brother?
to answer that question, no.
Okay.
This is just the reason why I got this L-scale model is I inherited all my grandpa's old Lionel and MTH trains after he passed away in 2017. I thought to myself, I want to try to get something there so at least I have a little bit more to play with. So what I got here is, of course, the George Bush 4141, the MTH Premier line, and that's equivalent to an Athearn with all your details that are separately applied at the factory versus the Real King, which is more
That's a
scaled down
nice
and
looking
condensed.
locomotive, brother.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, go ahead and pick it up. It is heavy. And
that
of course,
something?
That'll pull some cars.
yeah, it will. I think it'll actually pull like about 30 of their rolling stock pieces. So it's also got the MTH Protosound 3.0 system, and it's also got a smoking unit. And I'll tell you what, you load up about 20 drops of smoke fluid, and that thing's going to keep going for about 30 minutes.
Now this is the funeral edition, isn't it? That
Yes,
that it'll
was
actually
the
play.
re-release with Protosound 3, to where on the MTH DCS remote here, you hit the Protos freight announcements, and you hit the direction, and it has George H. Bush talking at his father's funeral.
HW.
HW, pardon me, HW.
No, George W. Bush.
Yeah.
GHW was senior.
So I'm also going to try to,
Yeah.
of course, get the Athegenesis HO model, and then, of course, to go back to your question, am I switching? No, I'm sticking with HO, but again, this is just a breakaway from my normal HO layout in my house.
It's an expensive conversion if you did.
Yeah, it would be an expensive version. I don't have the money for it.
You guys ever heard of a hydrangea? Am I
It's
saying
a
it
kind of
correctly?
flower in the gardens.
We got an email from a gentleman on the internet.
Yeah, Stephen Bartelski here.
Steven sent us some photographs. You remember 2 weeks ago we did a segment on trees. We covered wire trees, we covered bottle brush trees, we talked about sagebrush type trees, and those things that are made from Scenic Express out of that plant from Scandinavia.
Yeah.
Here I got an email, and he said that he makes his trees from hydrangeas. And he shared us some photographs of what it is that he's making here. And I think they look kind of neat. He put flocking on. I think he went as far as putting static grass on these. And they come out looking rather convincing. He also shows us what the bush looks like. As soon as I saw the plant, I immediately recognized the bush, but I never knew actually what it was called.
Right.
But thank you very much, Stefan from, it's Stephen, right?
Stephen. Yeah.
Thank you very much for sending us that on the internet with regards to your trees. I got an email from George Bugatuck over at SoundTraxx, and I think we might have him on next week because he's working on his layout. But they said they've done very well. The What's Neat this week, WNTW15 was that product code that you would get to get 15% off of your decoders at SoundTraxx. He said it was so successful, they'd like to do it again this month of July.
All right.
All right.
So you guys get another 30 days where if you're doing a locomotive sound install in any of your locomotives, you order from their website and you put in the little box in there somewhere, WNTW15, they'll give you 15% off of your order on your decoders and what have you. But they would prefer that you guys actually go to your hobby shop and support your dealer. And I would too. I really think it's better to support the dealer than to go direct.
Yep.
But, I mean, they've been voted twice in a row for the award that Kalmbach gave out for
Reader's
best
Choice Award
Reader's Choice
2020.
Awards. you know, if you're making a good product, you get that award. There's some legitimacy to that.
Right.
Made in the USA. So thanks a lot, George. Maybe we'll have you on next week. Thank you, Nancy, and all the folks out there in Durango, Colorado. I'm glad you guys are all staying safe out there. Now, Jeff Meyer brought some really, I saw this freight car on the table and I was like blown away because it's weathered so absolutely realistically, and that's what Jeff Meyer always does. And we're glad to have you tonight.
Thank you.
Very credible, your work. Tell us about what you brought this evening, Jeff.
So this first car, it's a tangent scale model, 4427 hopper. I was contacted, there's a fellow modeler, a very well-known Santa Fe modeler, Eric Goodman from Kansas City. He actually got the coronavirus early on, and it was very bad. He was touch and go a couple days. He was in the hospital, I'm not sure how long, but kind of barely survived, to put it correctly. But so anyways, some fellow modelers got together to raise some funds for him, a charity type event. They already did some through, I think it was Scale Trains, did some locomotives, but Tangent recently donated 2 freight cars, and I was, I guess, lucky enough or honored enough that they sent one to me to weather for this, and they're going to sell raffle tickets. Should be soon, but they're going to sell raffle tickets to raise money for him to help him out, him and his family. So it's obviously ex-Milwaukee Road car, patch, a little bit more modern. A lot of powders for the grime and that, and then those are smoke box graphic reflective stripes on there, the FRA stripe, and all the cars got now. So, and I did both sides. Luckily enough, on the internet there was photos of both sides of the car, which, so then, you know, you can't even do a fantasy side, you got to follow it. But anyways, so hopefully that'll be going up for charity raffle tickets here soon. Then these other 2, Ken may or may not even recognize them, but my oldest boy, who just turned 9, we got these from you probably a year or so ago, and we reworked them. We weathered them up, added the same stripes talking about, added some graffiti to this car. This one's an old Atlas 4-bay, and then this is an Athearn Genesis car. So we just thought it'd be neat, come full circle. We got them from you however long ago, and we weathered them up, brought them back. So that's pretty much what we got. We've been working on a lot of stuff. I'm sure everybody has, with, you know, everyone being stuck home.
yeah.
So lots of projects going on, finally finishing some. So it's been kind of nice, actually, to be stuck at home. Good time for modeling, for everybody, I think.
Your models are works of art, and they will
Thank you.
definitely, what an honor that they asked you to
Yeah,
do this.
I
This
did.
will
Yeah,
definitely
pretty
bring
cool.
in proceeds for the
Hopefully,
family.
definitely.
There's a lot of people out there hurting because of all of this.
But you know, this whole aspect of staying home, that's one of the things that's discussed in this latest edition of Cowcatcher magazine.
Cowcatcher.
They have an interview with Stacy Walters where she talks about the therapeutic value of model railroading when you're at home and need something to do.
Yep.
And, you know, in a lot of ways, I mean, SoundTraxx, too, had the slogan, keep calm, run some trains. So let's, you know, it's a great hobby to have during these times when we're really discouraged from being out too much because of what's going on.
Right.
That's right.
And
Tim Blackwell sent us this copy of Cowcatcher magazine. This is the latest issue. This is the July and August 2020. I'll put the screen of it up on the screen for you guys to look at. You guys have really accepted this. The viewers of the show have responded, and Tim tells me that there have been a lot of folks that have called up and gotten on his website, cowcatcher.com, and taken out subscriptions for this. It's a very inexpensive publication. I think you can also pick it up for free at your hobby shop. It talks about prototype models and the industry, not just the politics of the industry, but what it is that makes the industry work. It's amazing the way Tim writes about the hobby. It's a different flavor than you get with any other publication. And I really love it when he sends us that magazine.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'll be honest, I'd never really heard of it. Or I should say I've never heard of it, but I thought it was more geared towards narrow gauge, we talked about earlier. But looking through it here recently, it looks very well done, very professional. I was impressed with it.
Yeah. Very
Like
good.
it's got a lot of, I mean, I've read past issues, and it's got great prototype information, like not just the prototype of that boxcar you might be weathering, but it also has what the railroads are up to and how that might affect the modeling world and that kind of thing.
I like the fact that it's got a lot of advertisements in it. It really does. It covers a good spectrum of
Right.
all the hobby and who's in it.
Yeah.
I know, right? That's a beautiful ad for Scale Trains with
It
that
is.
nighttime shot. Hats off to
It
whoever
is.
shot that Scale Trains ad. That
Ken Johnson, we just
Yeah.
guys, when credit's due, it's due.
Right.
One thing I wanted to discuss about, of course, with kind of staying in your houses is that, of course, you got those products that sitting on the shelf. You're like, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. it keeps putzing off. And Jeff, of course, that was your situation. And then you're
Right.
like, now that I got some of this downtime,
Yep.
I can take them out of the shelf, finish them up, and then display them out.
Yep.
Sure.
That's really cool. What else do we have on the table? What are these gas pumps, James?
Well, so you may recall the gas station that I've been working on has appeared several times, and you also know that Mike Buddy has been working on a gas station, and he didn't have any pumps for his. And I thought about why that might be, and it may be the same reason that I didn't have pumps for my gas station, because the pumps that came with the kit were from the 1950s and maybe early 1960s. And I wanted mine to be more of a 70s or 80s kind of gas station. I mean, it could service all the classic cars that it wanted to, but since I'm running a lot of modern Santa Fe power, 70s and 80s would be much better than 50s or 60. And so I designed a gas pump off of what I remember from seeing at the gas stations when I was growing up. Just kind of the boxier form, with the little slots for the gas price, the gallons, and so on, and then slots for the fuel nozzle and the fuel line and all that stuff. That can be supplemented with probably 30 gauge wire or something like that.
Right. What program did you use to design that?
And I actually the program that I used to design that was Blender, and that's a freeware open sourced software that's available for download. Actually a very powerful engine where people have actually designed 3D graphics for some popular games even on the Blender platform. Nice. But in this case, I've used Blender not only to do these gas stations, but I've also designed a custom speaker box for that little trackmobile that would fit right in that gap between the wheels, and a triple sugar cube box right there. That's now kind of the standard of what I like to use in my locomotives.
That trackmobile, I can't tell you how many hours you've got in it. You've been doing that for going on 4 weeks. I know that.
Well, it's been sort of one puzzle after another. The latest one, and the reason it has not advanced a whole lot in the last 2 weeks, is that I discovered that the 30 AWG wires that I've been used to using for all my projects was suddenly looking very thick and clumsy when trying to feed it into the cab. So these are actually 36 AWG wires, and
that's small.
Yeah, and so I ordered them as I discovered, kind of last minute, as I discovered that the 30 wasn't working. And unfortunately, this was one of those times when the Postal Service wasn't quite working with me, and so I just got them a couple days ago. But this is very close to done. As soon as I get everything in there and fed, I'll be able to test it, and hopefully get a demonstration video or something out next week even.
Nice. Now we're going to run the trackmobile in probably August. No, I'm working on August. September's what's neat.
Probably September's what's neat.
You're doing another video on how you design the gas pumps, which I will find interesting. You're using a Dremel 3D printer, I think, on that project.
Right.
And what's the third project you're working on?
And then the third one is sort of the Atmel Tiny 13 chip and the Arduino, kind of coming up with different lighting effects that you can put onto that chip and put into your locomotive and have it run on a single lighting function.
I can't wait for you to do that video, because you've already taught me the programming on that to write the code. And I was blown away at how simple it is to write computer code on a computer. It's just lines. It's only this long.
And
I thought it was magic, and it's not.
It's not a lot of magic to it. You just have to. But the neat thing is that if you have the Arduino right there and you have your breadboard, you can just plug in your LEDs and your wires and watch it happen. See if you've programmed anything good, or if you need to go back and do your homework.
That's awesome.
Or in my case, if you need to call your wife and in an act of desperation say, I'm lost, help me out here. And she's come through for me every time. So
that's awesome. Daniel, what else you got going on? I know you wanted to talk about something with Train World.
Yes, Train World. So,
Ken Bianco.
2 weeks ago, I received a package in the mail, and it said from Train World, and I'm thinking, wait a minute, I didn't order anything. And then I opened it up. It was a catalog, MTH Catalog 2020, And then this metal plate sign is another gift. And then I got a little Lionel Trains bracelet. But I would like to thank Ken
What is this
Bianco for
sign?
sending me this.
George Bogota called me on the phone last night and said he wanted to know what you had received.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
that's pretty neat.
I'm just
Yeah.
going to, if it's okay, I
Golden
can read
Spike
this letter
from
off.
Right.
LGB. Go ahead.
So
what did they say?
So what he says is that he wanted to thank me for speaking highly of their company on the June's What's Neat podcast about a couple weeks ago. And he says that he'd like to personally, of course, thank me for being a valued customer. And he just wants to encourage us to keep up the good work and to share our love of model trains with the world. And, of course, he said, sincerely, Ken Bianco Jr., and signed his signature at the bottom. So,
That's
Ken,
really nice that
I
they would
do
take the
appreciate it,
time.
sir. I like the catalog, I like the bracelet, and I will definitely hang up the sign in my train room.
And tonight we're going to get some hot tea and get the drink out of our Train World Cup. So, you know, Ken Bianco, thank you for watching the show, and thank you for taking the time to be so kind to us.
Yeah.
You know? That's nice. We like nice people. I love that. I really am smiling. You just...
We can see
Right,
it.
yeah.
We can see it.
This is true, yeah.
Now, I had a gentleman by the name of John email me, and I called him on the phone, and I talked to him probably 4 times this week. I actually got to know him on the phone. And what he had done is he bought this throttle system. We keep talking about the TCS throttle system.
UWT 100.
And he had NCE, but he couldn't figure out how to make it work. He's like, well, I got my NCE system, and I got the throttle, and it doesn't work. So I had to walk him through the process of, you've got to get JMRI Decoder Pro in order for the NCE system to be able to link up Wi-Fi with this throttle.
Right.
He called me Thursday, that was yesterday, 2 days ago. He's like, it works, and he loves it.
Yeah.
So, you know, I really like it when the viewers of the show contact me through email and ask questions like that, because I will find out the answer for you. Because the last thing I want to do is find out you got something that we talk about on the show,
Right.
Right.
and it doesn't work for you, because I know it will work. I mean, we won't pitch it unless we know it's going to work.
Well,
So I'm really happy that that had a good ending.
and I'll just tell you, it's so incredibly handy. If I'm at home on my layout, or if I'm at the Magic House doing work, I just set up this throttle. It'll detect the network as long as my JMRI is set up, or in Ken's case, or Daniel's case, if they're using Digitrax at times, it'll actually link up with the DTX system automatically as well, and you're good to go. And it does. TCS has actually very intelligently planned out like how this throttle will work.
That
and
was a great show, too, you know.
Yeah.
That last show with the gentleman
Dan
from TCS.
Michio.
Dan
Yeah.
Michio. That was good. You
Oh,
guys
yeah.
bought a lot of the track cleaners. They are very happy with the viewers of What's Neat. There's a lot of them out there, 12 or more. It might be 17 now that have purchased that wonderful track cleaner. And they sent me a decoder for mine. Mine was only DC. They sent me a decoder to put in it, so I can now work it with my DCC system
There
and
you go.
turn the vacuum cleaner on and off independently of the lights. So even I have a whole new appreciation for that, and I'm going to put a really killer paint job on it.
Oh, yeah, the
Something with
flames, right?
flame.
Yeah.
Well, what you ought to do is try to get James or someone to actually scale down to What's Neat This Week logo and maybe create a paint scheme with What's Neat This Week. Is
I
that
don't
ever
know, I
crossed
don't
your
know if
mind?
I want to brand it with the show logo. I just have in mind blue, black, and silver flames on it. I just want
Okay.
something really cool.
Fair enough.
I will have James put about a dozen LED lights on the roof. That would be
Oh,
cool.
there you go. Yeah.
Maybe
Now,
like a
Jeff
show.
Meyer, you helped our friend Austin Allard design his new layout. I've looked on Facebook this week and last week, and he's done quite a job laying track. He finally got his first train running.
Yeah.
It is so exciting when you spend months, now in his case, weeks,
Right.
building a layout, and you get to run it for the very first time. We've all savored that. That is such a great feeling. But
Yep.
you designed his track plan for him, didn't
Yeah,
you?
he kind of, I guess he started building the bench work, and then what he basically did was he wanted to do a triple track main line. I talked him out of it. Then he wasn't going to do it. Then he started doing it again, and I'm like, dude, don't do triple track. So anyways, but he kind of just had basically just the curves and straightaways, which is kind of boring, right? So he texted me or called me and said, can you help me design something like with a little character or something to it? He wanted to do Midwest, mostly UPB NSF. So I kind of took what I've known throughout pretty much my life, going with my dad, watching trains, I guess, and just picked a lot of kind of, almost like the Midwest Valley Modelers layout. but picked out just a lot of generic Midwestern type scenes and drew up what I thought. It's got a yard. It kind of had an industrial lead that he wanted. He loves auto racks, so I kind of put on a back wall would be an auto facility, and there could be 2 or 3 tracks to store all his auto racks too, for loading and unloading them, you know. So we'll see. It looks like he's starting to follow it. You know, he's tweaking it, which you have to tweak it. And we even went over there one day too, just to kind of look. And it was funny because from what I drew up and then seeing it, it's definitely doable. He can definitely do it. So we'll see. Like I said, he's got one running already, so he should have the second main in probably pretty soon, and then start working on all the auxiliary track work.
There you go.
So yep, pretty neat.
That's cool. I've been working with a lot of the gentlemen at Athearn this week, and there's been a bunch of announcements on F units, F7s, F9s, and the GP38-2 diesels, which are, by the way, going to be coming out in Missouri Pacific.
Yep.
Was there anything that caught your eye on the announcements, Daniel?
Yeah,
Do you
there
have all the
was.
announcements here?
Let's see. Yeah, there they are.
I'm gonna run a screen capture of the announcements, these PDFs on the Athearn website at athearntrains.com. But the fact is, the F7s are coming in Union Pacific. I know Burlington Northern and a Cascade Green, New York Central. A lot of different paint schemes for the Southern Pacific. I think the orange ones, those are pretty hot. The ones you like were the Union Pacific, weren't they?
Oh, most definitely.
And of course, they're coming out with the Santa Fe F7 in the yellow bonnet. That's
Right,
the yellow.
and that's complete with those spark arresters as well that they used in that era.
This is the first time that F7s have been made by Athearn with the new LED lights in them. Look at that. That's Great Northern right there.
Yeah.
LED lights, plastic hoses, Tsunami 2 sound. And this is also the same for the GP38-2s. They're doing both Illinois Central paint schemes, the old one
like
and
that.
the modern one. I've got the Canadian National on the table here tonight. This is actually one from a train set, so this is a ready-to-roll model. But
Right.
this is all Genesis line GP38-2s that we're talking about tonight. Again, with all the new features. Sioux Line, Union Pacific, Canadian Pacific. Check this out at the Athearn website at athearntrains.com. It's a pretty, I got excited about the announcement.
Looks like that
'cause
Canadian-
I love the yellow bonnets.
Looks like that Canadian Pacific has the candy apple red with the beaver seal on it that they've been doing in their more recent paint schemes.
No, this is true. It's a good
Yeah.
thing. Daniel, you've been working on your layout. You want to give us an update? I don't have any photographs to run, but you're building an upper section in a town on top of the track work. How's that working out?
Let's just say it's a bit frustrating at times, but at the same time, you know, planning it out. And basically, it's on top of a tunnel, because when I first built the layout, I didn't have that tunnel planned, and all of a sudden I'm like, I want to just have a tunnel again, just because I think they're cool, and I just set it on the corner. But what I got going on is one of the tracks coming off my yard on the back side of my layout. It's going up, again, a grade that I made out of the Woolen Scenics riser and incline sets, and then I'm going to have a bridge go over a track going onto my third track on the inner portion of my layout that goes to my yard. But in fact, that track's going to keep going up and then go on top of the tunnel. I want to replicate like a coal mine being loaded. So of course, loaded coal cars come down. I maybe take it around a few laps around the layout. So I want to do kind of an operational interest, but it's not going to be totally operational where I got the whole car card system. It's just going to be for myself, run around a few times, just mimic a general train operation, and then have it unloaded, or the unloaded string go into the yard and then push it back up the hill, and then do a little bit of switching up there, and then just pull down the yard and terminate the locomotive down there.
Nice.
But other than that, everything else, scenery, I've been doing some of that work. I've been doing a lot of ballasting, and I'm still working on getting that as-a-track signaling system still hooked up. I got 2 signal sets that are working on the main line, so now I got to get one for a couple switch spurs, and then I got to continue on from there to make sure the track work is good. I'll lay down the rest of the scenery, get that upper town made, and then we'll go on from there.
How about that? I know it is July 4th, so that means the July What's Neat video is about to run at Model Railroad Hobbyist Magazine on their YouTube site. And in that video, I take all the mysteries out of soldering. My amazing wife, Michelle Patterson, opens up that video. And by the way, I need one of you guys to help me open up August.
No
'cause
problem.
Okay, yeah.
We'll do it.
I'm doing that edit.
Yeah.
And tonight, before you leave, I need somebody to do that. Because we're not going to see each other again. The next time we shoot a show, we're going back to Skype. This wearing masks and things like that. This isn't. Plus, you know, things don't appear to be getting better out there. So we're going to stick to the internet until things clean up a little bit more. But check it out at the What's Neat This Week YouTube site that Model Railroad Hobbyist Magazine does. You know, Joe Fugate, he does edit that magazine. And Joe Fugate also is now editing Train Masters TV. So he's got his hands full. Not only he's doing almost 250 to 300 pages of the digital magazine every single month with his help that he's got, but he's also videotaping and editing and creating Train Masters TV, which is that subscription-only video that they come out with every single month with how-tos in it, people's layouts. I think they set up a studio. That was originally done by Barry Silverthorne, and now Joe is doing it by himself. So that is Train Masters TV. For those junkies out there that don't get enough videos on the internet, check that out. It's the quality of the editing is much better than my What's Neat. They've got really good equipment. They've got high-quality cameras. His work is actually, it's better than mine. So I just wanted to bring that up because I know how hard Joe's working. But check it out, the What's Neat video that we're coming out with, all about soldering. I mean, it's 52 minutes long. It covers resistance soldering, pencil tip soldering. We actually repair a brass steam locomotive. We show how I built that tugboat barge that you guys have seen on my layout more than once with all the handrails. That's all done with resistance soldering, which is, it's a step below welding. And I know I picked up a welder the other day. I've actually learned how to weld recently. And resistance soldering is similar to that in that you're superheating up the brass where the solder melts and then it quickly sets up without heating up the surrounding brass, which would otherwise make the other parts of your model come apart. It's a really good tool. All of that is covered in this video for July's What's Neat. We're working on August. We're working on September. It's just crazy. COVID's keeping us all indoors, but it's the best hobby in the world to be kept indoors with.
Indeed.
And that's exactly what Stacy wrote about in the Cowcatcher magazine article that was in there. I found that to be absolutely fascinating. Guys, going around the table, is there anything else that we haven't talked about tonight?
There was this one more thing we talked about earlier. Arrowhead Models, our buddy Blaine Hadfield.
Yes.
I'm going to try to get this right. Next Friday, July 10th, I believe he said it's going to be a Facebook Live announcement from Lombard Hobby, HO scale freight car. Blaine never gives out too many, teasers, but it sounded like it's going to be semi-modern, 80s, 90s era, maybe even up to today, but he didn't give much out. So Facebook Live, the way I understood it, he's going to be at Lombard Hobby, and once he announces it, it's actually going to be for sale right then and there, July 10th, Friday. So I don't have the time. Look it up, get on Facebook, or talk to Blaine. He'll let you know.
That's cool.
So that'll be neat. I'm excited. I'm a freight car guy, so we'll see.
For the thumbnail picture tonight, I'm going to say after we're done shooting the show, I want everybody to take off their masks, wave at the camera, and smile so I get a good thumbnail. But other than that, we've got the NCE throttles on the table. It's time to take them off the table, and let's go run some trains, right, guys?
That's right.
Best hobby in the world with the best people in it, you, the viewer. This is a show made by us, Simple Model Railroaders, trying to bring you updated on all the new news every single week in the hobby of model railroading. And so far this week, we've had a lot of new news. So guys, one more time. Let's go run some trains.
Let's go run some trains, yeah.